As a reminder, to make notes on the startup card at your seat so that you will be ready to vote when the grouping is finished. And we would ask you to text your vote by sending a text with the letter corresponding with your selection. You'll find the phone number and letter to the text for each of the 6 startups on the same startup card. Now, we'll have the 3 remaining startups make their presentations. Kicking things off will be Imaginovation of Raleigh, SportGate, and 10-8 Tech, both of Wilmington. Let's begin by welcoming Todd Moses, Director of Engineering for Imaginovation.
Something touched me deep inside.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, I'm Todd Moses, Director of Engineering for Imaginovation. And as Director of Engineering, I have to attend a lot of meetings. A show of hands, how many of you think you spend time in meetings that aren't very productive? Okay. So we created our first product called Imagine.meetings. And here's how it works. Basically, the system gives you a phone number. The moderator dials into that phone number, and you just begin talking. Now, the cool thing is, as you're talking, it's being recorded. I know that's not really groundbreaking. That's just a recorded conversation. But it allows you to take that data, and we'll use IBM Watson to convert that audio to text. And here's where the really cool thing comes in, is because once we convert that audio to text, we are able to analyze it. Utilizing, first off, we utilize a Bayesian analysis that allows us to determine the % of topics discussed in the meeting. So that we can tell, maybe 30% of the meeting was spent on talking about where to go to lunch. And that's not very productive. We can also determine cool topics, like, if you use the words account, sell, close, you're probably talking about some kind of sales meeting, and if you use that with the name of a business, you're probably talking about an exact account. Now, part of this too is an effectiveness score. And what this effectiveness score does is we use game theory. So using a game theory algorithm, a continuous game theory, where each time you speak, that's a move in the game. So what it does is it calculates how effective that meeting was. Now, if everybody is talking about lunch and nothing's getting done, the meeting's not very effective, and that score will be 0. However, as you discuss and get into topics and support your position or support the position of someone else, you're playing a game. All meetings are technically a game. And as you do that, the score goes up to 10. And we do that for simplicity. Now, another cool part of this is you can have these meetings. You have the phone number where you dial in, but it's another cool part is you have these meetings and where you dial in so that you can do it all together in one conference room where you dial in, everyone has the space phone. Or you can do it remotely. We have a lot of meetings like that. Or you can do it a combination of both, which I think today is the bulk of meetings. Now, I mentioned earlier about having the transcript. And we originally wanted to do this real time, so the transcript's kind of like a side effect. And you have this text-based transcript. Well, you can put this into AWS and into like Solar or Elasticsearch. And the awesome part with that is you can search now for topics and find the meeting notes for each of these topics and the analytics, which is really incredible. Because that in itself, I think, is very powerful. That you can go back through these meetings. It's like, well, especially with sales, and you're talking about, well, what did we discuss with this client? Well, you have notes and stuff, but you don't even need notes anymore. You can go and see the actual transcript of what was done, get the percentage of topics discussed in that, and how effective that meeting was. And the coolest thing is it learns from you, because it's all based on AI. It learns from you. Now, I do want to say it's not quite perfect. there is a part in the, where we get the speech to transcript that's not quite all there. Names like Fred become bread, but for analytical purposes, it's great. And we're continuing working on this internally. We are testing it and using it internally, and it's learning. And the cool thing is when we put it in a client location, it can also learn, and it'll be offered as a software as a service solution. And if you guys want to learn more about that, please come by our booth. We're just right out here. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Next, presenting at today's showcase, we have the president and CEO of SportGate. Please welcome to the stage our presenter, Chris Newton.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me today. I'm Chris Newton, the president and CEO of SportGate, a company providing sport concussion management to the medical industry. Sport-related concussion is a huge problem, especially for our 38 million youth athletes that play in organized sports every single day. As we know, repetitive hits to your head can cause brain damage. We also know that other than SportGate, concussion tests have been proven to be unreliable. Right now, in towns and cities all across this world, there are kids playing a sport that they love. And on the sideline are us parents screaming and yelling, cheering them on, hoping the best, but without injury. But if there is an injury, like a sprained ankle, we know what to do. We pull them from the game and we get them to see a doctor. But why is that not the same when it comes to a head injury? At SportGate, our vision is a world where all sport-related concussions are treated with the same rigor as all sport-related injuries. So how does our system work? Well, when there is an incident, we use our free mobile app and we direct them to the athlete to the correct place in the American medical system. The medical providers then use our medical app. There, our app is built on IoT, big data, Microsoft Surface, and web technologies. We charge the medical providers a platform as a service fee plus a per test fee. The video that Microsoft produced, which I'm going to show you right now, shows our system and also shows our approach in action. Every 7 seconds, there is a sport-related concussion. You do have in the back of your mind that what-if moment. What if they get hurt? What if, they get hit in the head or things like that?
A broken bone can heal, but I think the thing about a head injury that is so scary for a parent is because sometimes the damage cannot be undone.
There was a popular belief that to have a concussion, you have to have a head injury and loss of consciousness. But we know now that that's not true.
We got together and wanted to tackle the epidemic of concussions.
SportGate is a concussion detection system. When we first started using the SportGate concussion test, it was mainly with a notebook. It was a little less user-friendly.
We looked into the Microsoft Surface. The processing power is fantastic and it was ideal for us. When you have a concussion, it affects your motor and it also affects your cognitive ability, so we measure both.
SportGate uses 3 different areas to help diagnose concussions. There's the gait testing, which is the walking test. There's the balance testing. The purpose of this is to show slight deviations in your balance. And then once you're done with that, you're able to administer the cognitive test. The purpose of the cognitive test is to see how quickly the patient is able to react to what they see on the screen of the surface. This helps tell us whether or not the person is possibly concussed because the reaction time will tend to be slightly slower than normal.
When the doctor goes and treats a patient, they need to be focused on the patient, not how technology works. We're sending information to the surface. We're also looking at the information in real time.
When the test is administered, it immediately goes into the cloud. The reliability of the test is very high and the predictive value is excellent.
Sports are a lot like life. You have all your life lessons you're striving to achieve, whether it's work, happiness, your family, but there's always risks.
We still want them to play and learn these valuable lessons, but we would never want to risk their future.
Surface and SportGate are really transforming the way the medical industry is going to treat concussion. And the reason why I really wanted to get involved in it was my kids. And I knew if I can help them and the 36 million other youth athletes in this country, I would feel very proud. This is all about our children, their safety, living their life without fear, but with knowledge. So in November, we decided to expand outside of Wilmington, North Carolina, and we're now located up and down the coast, protecting thousands of athletes. We were also recently selected by Ascension, one of the 5 largest healthcare systems in the United States. Equally important to our commercialization efforts is the research we are doing, led by the University of North Carolina, Wilmington. UNCW is starting a research consortium with other universities so they can test thousands of subjects a month. The first study that they are performing is with our patented gait algorithms, which we have used successfully already to diagnose Parkinson's and MS. We're now using these algorithms to determine the signature of what a concussion looks like. Our gait technology is the equivalent of the innovation leap as when the world went from taking a simple pulse to a 12-lead EKG. We are now moving from a step counter to biokinetic graphs, as you see in this video. With the support of Microsoft, we are adding artificial intelligence with the intent of taking the administration time to administer all of our tests, which takes about 45 minutes, down to a single 90-second test. And hopefully, AI will tease out other discoveries that will further help our youth athletes. SportGate is very excited to team up with Microsoft and its AI, and we think that the future is endless. Thank you.
Closing out our afternoon showcase, please welcome to the stage CEO and President of 10-8 Tech, Anthony Formels.
Good morning, or good afternoon. So before I start, I just want to ask a question and actually see a show of hands. Who here has kids? And my hand's in the air because I got 3 little ones. A daughter who's 2, a son who's 3 and a half, and a 6-year-old who's in kindergarten. So we'll get back to that in a second here. 10-8 Tech, we start off as a law enforcement software company and really focused on automating mass inbound communication intelligently and efficiently to provide service. Myself and my co-founders have been doing this now for about 6 years. We bring a unique skill set to the table because we do have, again, a public service element to our backgrounds, but as well as technology. You know, we live in a world where people want consistent service across communication channel, voice, mobile, text, web. I want to be able to engage with, Starbucks and order a coffee on my way into work with the mobile app, just as I do, online banking. I want to have that same type of conversation and interaction, though, with my municipal entities, the city governments and such. I was a cop for 8.5 years. I saw an enormous amount of time spent on non-emergency police reporting, and that led us to realize we wanted to automate that process, start to finish, allow a citizen to file a police report, voice only, right? That we called 911, they can transfer you into a system. Don't have to send a police officer. Again, it's 20% of all reports. So we wanted to do that, and we did. We did that by building internally a system called Dialogue Framework. This allows us to use a microservices API architecture to really have a real-time conversation focused on service that's going to pull responses forward as that interaction is occurring to really land on the right outcome for the person who's engaged with the technology. And again, it's a cross-channel, so voice, mobile, web, as well as regular straight SMS text. So I mentioned, this really spun out of my background in prior law enforcement. That was our first product line, case service. This allows, again, that citizen to file the full report. Solution's been in the marketplace now for a few years, deployed coast to coast with law enforcement agencies, taking police reports right now. I presented this to Arizona State Chiefs Association a couple years back, and I had a police chief come up to me and say, could you take a sexual assault report with that? It didn't make any sense. Well, the reason he was asking, because 80% of victims who are raped or sexually assaulted never report to law enforcement. It made a lot of sense to me to use the technology we'd already built to solve that problem. We deployed Victim Link. This is a national platform that's currently live with agencies, again, coast to coast, that allows a victim of rape or sexual assault to seek out information with technology in a very safe way by going to seekthanspeak.org. They can choose to connect to the Rape Crisis Center, report to law enforcement. If they're a college student, they can connect to their Title IX coordinator. We received about $1.4 million in federal funding from Department of Justice Office of Victims of Crime, and we've been focused on that solution. What I'm excited to do right now is I want to announce to this crowd a partnership between my company and the National Center for the Prevention of Community Violence. After the Parkland shooting, I felt convicted. We had a great relationship with the Microsoft education team about 2 years ago, and that took me to the public and justice team within Microsoft. The education team asked us to pull forward a solution we talked about, which was Protect My School. So we built it. We did not move it into the marketplace because of the simple fact we are a small company. We're focused on scaling Victim Link, and we didn't see the way to do both. Well, changed our mind. So what we're doing and what we've done is we partner with a national nonprofit. We are looking to offer Protect My School to every school, K through 12 in the nation, for free. It's not just technology though, because try not to go over the time and get gonged off the stage too, it's hard. So it's not just technology. It's one thing to build technology, it's a whole other thing to take it into market, sell it, or scale it. That's really the key. Well, when you look at what National Center for Prevention of Community Violence has done over the last decade, they have a program called Green Zone, which gives students a framework for how to interact with one another in schools, gives them some boundaries. But what do they do when the interactions aren't occurring right within their own little ecosystem? How do they communicate that they need help? That's where we see the technology really able to step in. Here's something for everyone in this room to think about. Violence is a process, it's not an event. Again, violence is a process, it's not an event. When you think about processes, what is technology really good at? It's good at disruption of process. Netflix, I don't watch TV the way I used to because Netflix came in and as a technology disrupted that process of watching TV. I don't buy things from stores anymore like I used to because Amazon came in and as a technology disrupted the process of how I engage with the purchasing of anything, right? Uber, get a cab? No, technology disrupted that process. So what we're saying is we can disrupt the process of violence through the implementation of technology. Since Columbine, every couple of months, every 6 months, there's another incident in our schools. Not to mention every day, thousands of children are bullied. They can't speak up, they can't get help. So how do you disrupt the process? We implement technology that gives students and schools a solution to solve that issue. How it works is basically, you're sitting in a class, you have a school-specific text message phone number you can text into. That text message comes into our systems through machine learning, artificial intelligence, and I don't have time to talk about how it works, but the gist is it analyzes what comes in. Based on what's coming in, it's going to ask some additional questions, and then connect that student to the school's care team instantly. Obviously, important things get forwarded right away. Stuff that's a little more administrative can get dealt with as time permits by that school. Each school has really the keys to their own kingdom, though, with this technology. Kind of how this happened, I kind of explained it. Initially, we looked at doing this, but we didn't. This has been pretty new for us. In February is when I really started looking at how we make it work and how we make it scale. I just got gonged. I'm almost done. Long story short, we had a meeting with senior officials at the White House in April, which was very positive. We're going back here mid-month. But we're still in a position where we're going to give it away for free. We have to figure out how to pay for it. So we are in a position where we're looking for a corporate sponsor that can take all the good positive PR with this for the next 3 years, be the sole sponsor of Protect My School for our nation's students, $3.25 million. Now, if you're a regular parent in the room thinking, well, this sounds good, how can we get it out there? I'm a small startup, and I've doubled down hard on this, but we do have a crowdfunding campaign in process. If you go to CrowdRise /Protect My School, you got $10. Share it on social, I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much.